When my wife passed away, her wealthy boss called me and said, "Sir, come here now. I have something to show you." Then he added, "Don't tell your kids. You'll be in danger." When I got there and saw who was standing at the door, I froze. Before we continue, we ask you to hit the hype button, subscribe, and like the video to help the channel grow. Tell us which city you are from in the comments. We would like to get to know our audience better. The funeral director handed me Marianne's wedding ring in a small velvet pouch. I didn't open it. I knew what was inside. 41 years of marriage reduced to 14 grams of gold that still carried the faint scent of her lavender hand cream. The chapel was full. People I didn't recognize, colleagues from her clinic network, business associates. Vanessa stood at the front row wearing black Prada and sunglasses despite the dim lighting. Her husband Trevor kept checking his phone. My daughter hadn't cried once. I watched her during the service, really watched her. The way she tilted her head when the pastor spoke about sudden tragedy, the way her jaw tightened when he mentioned Marianne's business legacy, the way she glanced at Trevor and gave the smallest nod. Something was wrong. Marianne's car had gone off the Pacific Coast Highway 3 days ago. Brake failure, they said. The vehicle tumbled 200 feet into rocks and surf. Closed casket. The coroner cited massive trauma, recommended against viewing. I signed papers I barely read. I'm an aerospace engineer. Was. Retired now. Spent 30 years analyzing structural failures in aircraft, looking at twisted metal and reconstructing the moment everything went wrong. You develop instincts. You learn that catastrophic failures rarely happen without warning signs. Marianne had complained about the brakes 2 weeks before she passed. Soft pedal. I told her to take it to the dealership. She said she would. Said Vanessa recommended a mechanic who specialized in European imports. Said he'd come to the house. I didn't think about it again until the highway patrol showed up at my door. The service ended. People filed past me with their sympathetic faces and hollow condolences. Vanessa kissed my cheek. Her lips were cold. "We'll get through this together, Dad," she said. "I've already started handling Mom's business affairs. You shouldn't have to worry about any of that." "I didn't ask you to." "Someone has to. You're grieving. Let me take care of the complicated stuff." Trevor put his hand on my shoulder. Too familiar, too presumptuous. "We're here for you, Russell. Whatever you need." What I needed was for everyone to leave. They eventually did. The house felt massive and hollow. Marianne's coffee mug still sat on the kitchen counter, her reading glasses on the nightstand, her calendar marked with appointments she'd never keep. I sat in the dark living room and tried to remember how to breathe. That's when my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer. "Mr. Kirk?" The voice was male, educated, careful. "This is Gregory Shaw. I worked with your wife." "I know who you are." Shaw owned the laboratory network that contracted with Marianne's clinics. Wealthy, connected. They'd partnered on some biomedical equipment venture last year. "I need you to come to my property tonight, alone. It's urgent." "I just buried my wife." "No, sir, you didn't." Long pause. "Don't tell your children? Don't tell anyone. You're in danger. The address is 4725 Skyline Ridge. 1 hour." He disconnected. I sat there holding the phone, replaying his words. "No, sir, you didn't." I should have ignored it. Should have assumed it was grief-motivated nonsense or some elaborate scam. But that instinct I mentioned, the one that spent decades finding the fracture point in failed systems, it was screaming. I got in my car and drove. The address led to the hills east of Oakland, the kind of neighborhood where gates have gates and driveways are long enough to require their own zip codes. Shaw's estate sat behind stone walls and old-growth oaks. Security cameras tracked my approach. The door opened before I could knock. Gregory Shaw stood there, mid-60s, silver hair, expensive casual clothing, but his face was drawn, tense. "Mr. Kirk, thank you for coming. Please, quickly." He ushered me inside. The entry hall was all dark wood and museum lighting. He didn't offer refreshments or small talk. He led me through corridors to a private wing I suspected guests never saw. We stopped at a closed door. Shaw turned to me. "What I'm about to show you will seem impossible, but I need you to stay calm. I need you to listen. Can you do that? Tell me what's happening." "Your wife discovered something 3 weeks ago, something that put her life at risk. We staged her passing to protect her. The coroner who signed the certificate works for me. The body in that casket wasn't Marianne. It was a Jane Doe from the county morgue who matched her general description. No one looked closely because no one had reason to. My hands were shaking. That's insane. Your daughter tried to eliminate her mother, Mr. Kirk. Marianne found evidence. She came to me because she knew I had resources to help her disappear. We had 48 hours to make it convincing. You're telling me Vanessa arranged for the brake lines to be compromised? Yes, and now she's moving to have you declared mentally incapacitated so she can control your assets and liquidate your wife's business before anyone audits the damage she's already done. I couldn't process it. My daughter, my only child. Shaw put his hand on the door handle. She's inside. Are you ready? I nodded because I couldn't speak. He opened the door. And Marianne was standing there, my wife, alive, real. She looked thinner, exhausted, but her eyes were the same, that specific shade of green that changed in different light. Hello, Russell, she said softly. The world tilted. I grabbed the door frame. My heart hammered so hard I thought I might collapse. She crossed the room and took my hands. Her skin was warm, her pulse visible at her throat. I'm sorry, she whispered. I'm so sorry you had to go through that service. But if I'd told you, you wouldn't have been able to hide it from Vanessa. She's watching you. She's always been watching. I pulled her close. She was solid, real. The scent of her shampoo, the way she fit against my chest. I'd been walking around with a hole torn through my center, and suddenly it wasn't there anymore. But beneath the relief, something else was building, something cold and sharp. Tell me everything, I said. We sat in Shaw's private study. Marianne held a folder thick with documents. Her hands trembled slightly as she opened it. It started 4 months ago, she said. I noticed irregularities in the clinic's purchasing records, equipment orders that didn't match our usage patterns, shipments going to addresses I didn't recognize. When I started asking questions, Vanessa became defensive. She handles vendor relations, I said. She was skimming, routing orders through shell companies she controlled, marking up costs, pocketing the difference. I estimated she'd taken about $400,000 over 18 months. Shaw poured 3 glasses of scotch. I didn't drink mine. I needed clarity. I confronted her. Marianne continued. Privately. Gave her a chance to return the funds and resign quietly. She refused, said I was getting old, said maybe I wasn't thinking clearly anymore. Then she asked if I'd considered what would happen to the business if something happened to me. That's when you knew. Not immediately, but I started paying attention. Really paying attention. The way she talked about liquidation strategies, how she'd already connected with buyers interested in acquiring the clinic network. She wanted me gone, Russell, not just retired. Gone. She pulled out a photograph, security camera footage printed on photo paper, dated 2 weeks before the accident. It showed a man in coveralls working underneath Marianne's Mercedes in our garage. The image was grainy but clear enough. His name is Danny Voss, Shaw said. He runs an unlicensed repair operation in Richmond, specializes in work that mechanics with business licenses won't touch. Trevor hired him. You have proof? Bank transfer from one of Trevor's accounts. $15,000, 2 days before this photo was taken. I studied the image, the angle of Voss's body. The tools, the location under the vehicle suggested he was working on the hydraulic system. How did you get this footage? I installed hidden cameras 6 months ago, Marianne said quietly. After Vanessa started asking strange questions about how our home security worked, which angles were covered, which weren't. I didn't tell you because I thought I was being paranoid. She pulled out another document, a mechanical analysis report, technical specifications of the brake system, detailed photos of the hydraulic lines showing precise cuts, barely visible scoring that would cause gradual pressure loss over several days until total failure at the worst possible moment. I'd seen this kind of sabotage in aircraft investigations, subtle enough to pass casual inspection, dangerous enough to guarantee the outcome. The Highway Patrol bought the accident story because brake failures happen, Shaw said. Especially on mountain roads. No one looked deeper because no one suspected foul play. Your daughter is counting on that. Marianne's voice cracked. She's my child. I carried her, raised her. How does that happen? I wanted to comfort her, but the engineering part of my brain was already working. Analyzing the timeline, the mechanics of how they'd executed this, the legal framework they'd constructed. What's the plan now? I asked Shaw. That's up to you. Marianne can stay hidden here as long as necessary. I have resources to keep her safe, but Vanessa is moving fast. She filed preliminary paperwork yesterday to have you evaluated for cognitive decline. On what grounds? Erratic behavior following your wife's passing, paranoid statements, difficulty managing basic affairs. She's building a case that you're not competent to handle your financial responsibilities. That's absurd. I'm 63, not 90. Doesn't matter. She has a psychiatrist ready to testify, someone she's paid well, Once the evaluation is complete, she'll petition for conservatorship. Then she controls everything, your accounts, your property, Marianne's business, all of it. I stood and walked to the window. The property stretched into darkness, hills and trees and expensive silence. I said, she caused terrible harm to her mother, or tried to, and now she's coming after me. Yes. So we go to the police, show them the evidence. Shaw shook his head. The evidence proves mechanical sabotage. It doesn't conclusively prove who ordered it. Trevor used an offshore account. Voss is already gone, vanished the day after the accident. Even if we could link them, a good defense attorney would argue circumstantial case. Maybe get them on conspiracy charges. Maybe, but probably not. Then what? We show them what they tried to bury. We take everything they wanted and destroy it in front of them. Marianne stood, came to where I was standing, put her hand on my arm. Russell, I didn't fake my passing just to hide forever. I did it to buy time. Time for us to be smart, strategic. They think they've won. Let them keep thinking that while we build something they can't escape from. I looked at my wife, the woman I'd spent 4 decades with, the mother of my child, and I saw something in her expression I'd only glimpsed a few times before, usually in business negotiations, the corporate predator she kept carefully controlled. What are you suggesting? That we let Vanessa think she's getting exactly what she wants. Let her move forward with the business sale. Let her proceed with your evaluation. Let her commit to every choice that will bury her when the truth comes out. You want to let her keep going. I want her to go so far she can't come back. When we're done, she won't just lose what she stole, she'll lose everything. Shaw refilled his glass. Your wife learned to be ruthless in business because she had to. The medical industry doesn't reward gentle people, neither does this situation. I thought about the funeral, Vanessa's cold lips on my cheek, her practiced sympathy, the way she'd already started positioning herself to dismantle everything Marianne built. I'll need time, I said. I need to think. You have until morning, Shaw replied. After that, Vanessa will escalate. She'll restrict your access to accounts. She'll start the evaluation process. Once that begins, fighting it becomes exponentially harder. Marianne squeezed my arm. Whatever you decide, I support. But you need to know something. I didn't just come to Gregory for protection. I came to him because I knew if anyone could hurt her the way she tried to hurt us, it would be you. You see systems. You understand how they fail. You can take that mind and aim it at our daughter until nothing's left. I looked at her. You want me to destroy Vanessa. I want you to make sure she never threatens anyone again. I want her to feel what it's like when the ground opens beneath her feet. I want justice. Not revenge. Justice. That's how Marianne thought. Clean lines, proper terminology. I called it something else. I went home at midnight. The house was still dark, still empty, still carrying the residual grief of people who'd gathered here after the service. I didn't sleep. I sat in my workshop with the lights off and replayed everything. Marianne's face when she described confronting Vanessa, the mechanical analysis of the sabotaged brakes, Shaw's calm recitation of how quickly my daughter was moving to eliminate me as an obstacle. Around 3 a.m, something clicked. I'd spent my career investigating failures. But I'd also spent years designing systems that wouldn't fail, building redundancy, anticipating stress points, creating frameworks that could withstand forces trying to tear them apart. Vanessa thought she was dealing with a grieving old man who'd fold under pressure. She'd forgotten who taught her to be strategic in the first place. I started making lists, resources, contacts, people who owed me favors from 30 years in aerospace, engineers who understood mechanical systems, lawyers who specialized in corporate fraud, investigators who worked outside official channels. By dawn, I had a framework. At 7, Vanessa called. Dad, did I wake you? No. I've been worried. You left the service so quickly yesterday. I wanted to check on you. I'm managing. That's good. Listen, I know this is terrible timing, but we need to talk about Mom's affairs. The business can't just stop because she's gone. I've been handling things, but there are decisions that require your signature. What kind of decisions? Sale negotiations. There's a company interested in acquiring the clinic network. It's a strong offer. Life-changing money. But we need to move quickly, or they'll look elsewhere. Marianne just passed. You're already selling? I know how it sounds, but Mom would have wanted us to capitalize on the opportunity. She built something valuable. We should honor that by getting what it's worth. The corporate speak, the way she framed theft as tribute. I need time to think, I said. Of course, but not too much time. These buyers won't wait forever. Can we meet tomorrow? I'll bring the paperwork. We can go through everything together. Fine. Great. I'll come by around 10. Love you, Dad. She disconnected. I sat there holding the phone. She'd said love you the same way she'd say see you later. Casual, reflexive, meaningless. I called Shaw. I'm in, I said. Tell me what you need. Come back to the property. We'll start planning. I drove back to the hills. Marianne met me in the study. She looked better, rested, more focused. You're sure about this? She asked. They tried to eliminate you. They're moving to eliminate me. Yes, I'm sure. Shaw laid out maps and documents, financial records, shell company structures, the network Vanessa had built to hide her theft. She's overextended, he explained. The $400,000 she took from the clinics went to cover Trevor's debts. He has a problem with gambling, underground betting networks. He owes people who don't accept payment plans. How bad? 7 figures. Maybe more. The clinic theft was just a start. The business sale is meant to solve everything. She's promised Trevor she can liquidate for $8 million. Half goes to his creditors. The rest they split and disappear. She's planning to run. Eventually. But first she needs you out of the picture. You own 40% of the business. Marianne owns 60%. With her gone and you incapacitated, Vanessa inherits everything. Then she can sell without interference. Marianne pulled out another folder. This is where it gets interesting. The company trying to buy the clinic network, BioGlobal Medical, they're a multinational corporation. Publicly traded, very concerned about regulatory compliance and reputation. So if they discover they're negotiating with someone who obtained the business through fraudulent means, they'll walk away immediately, possibly report it to federal authorities. Acquisitions at this level require extensive due diligence. One whiff of criminal activity and the deal collapses. I saw where this was going. You want to let the sale proceed until we can expose the fraud at the worst possible moment. Exactly. She's already submitted preliminary documents, financial statements, operational histories, all of it falsified to hide the theft. The more she commits to the lie, the harder it becomes to claim ignorance. Shaw added, and there's more. Trevor's creditors are getting impatient. I have contacts in that world. They can apply pressure, make him panic. Panicked people make mistakes. I studied the paperwork, the timeline, the pressure points. What about Voss, the mechanic? Still missing, but I have people looking. If we find him, we find direct testimony linking Trevor to the sabotage. And if we don't, then we use everything else. The financial fraud alone is enough to destroy the business sale and trigger criminal investigations. The sabotage evidence is insurance. Either way, they lose. Marianne handed me a phone. New number, encrypted. Use this for anything related to the plan. Your regular phone is probably monitored. Vanessa's tracking my calls. She's covering her bases. Assume everything you do on your normal phone is visible to her. I took the burner, felt its weight. Such a small thing, but it represented the line I was crossing. When do we start? You already did, Shaw said. By agreeing to meet her tomorrow, you're going to sign preliminary documents, act cooperative, make her think you're complying. While you do what? While I start dismantling the foundation she's built. Every lie she's told, every document she's falsified, every shell company she created. I'm going to map it all and build a case so overwhelming she won't be able to breathe. Marianne looked at me. Can you do this? Can you sit across from our daughter and pretend everything's normal while knowing what she did? I thought about the funeral, the closed casket, the lies she'd told so smoothly. Yes, I said. I can. Vanessa arrived exactly at 10. She wore business casual, carried a leather portfolio, smiled like she was doing me a favor. Trevor stayed in the car. I watched him through the window. He looked nervous, kept checking his mirrors. Thanks for meeting, Dad. She kissed my cheek again, same cold lips. I know this is hard. We sat at the kitchen table. She spread documents across the surface. Purchase agreements, transfer authorizations, power of attorney forms. This is the offer from BioGlobal, she explained. $8.2 million for the complete acquisition of the clinic network. They're assuming all operational liabilities and existing contracts. It's clean, fair. Honestly, better than Mom could have hoped for. I pretended to read the paperwork. It was dense, deliberately complex, designed to overwhelm. Why are they interested? They want to expand their West Coast footprint. Mom's clinics are profitable and strategically located. It's a perfect fit. And we just walk away with $8 million. After taxes and closing costs, probably closer to $6 million, but yes, life-changing money, Dad. You can retire comfortably, travel, do whatever you want. What do you get? I'm managing the transition. They've offered me a position in the new structure, VP of Regional Operations, good salary, better benefits. Lies. All lies. But delivered with such conviction. I picked up a pen. Where do I sign? She blinked. Really? Just like that? Marianne trusted your judgment. I have no reason not to. Something flickered across her face. Relief, maybe, or triumph. She pointed to signature lines. Walked me through each document. I signed where indicated. Dated everything. Made sure my handwriting looked slightly shaky, grief-stricken, vulnerable. This is the right choice, she said. Mom would be proud. I wanted to grab her throat. Instead, I smiled weakly. I hope so. There's one more thing. She pulled out additional paperwork. Given everything you're going through, I think it makes sense to set up a temporary management structure, just until you're feeling more like yourself. What kind of structure? Essentially, I'd handle all the financial and legal decisions related to the business and your joint assets. You'd retain ownership, but I'd manage operations. Think of it as taking some weight off your shoulders. Conservatorship, just like Shaw predicted. I appreciate the thought, I said, but I think I can manage. Of course you can, but why should you have to? Let me help. I'll think about it. Her smile tightened. Don't think too long. The evaluation is already scheduled. Evaluation? Just a routine assessment, making sure you're okay. Grief affects people differently. Sometimes they don't realize they need support until it's too late. I'm fine, Vanessa. I'm sure you are, but humor me. One appointment. If everything checks out, we'll drop it. Deal? I knew what she was doing. Establishing a paper trail. Doctor's evaluation showing cognitive issues. Then a judge would approve the conservatorship without much scrutiny. When's the appointment? Day after tomorrow. Dr. Brennan, he's excellent, very compassionate. Excellent at lying. Very compassionate toward whoever pays him. Fine, I said. I'll go. She relaxed, gathered the documents. I'm glad we're on the same page, Dad. This is going to be good for everyone. Trevor honked from the driveway. She glanced out the window. I should go. Call me if you need anything. She left. I watched her car disappear down the street. Then I pulled out the burner phone and called Shaw. It's done. She has the signatures. How did she seem? Confident. Convinced I'm too broken to be a threat. Good. Keep playing that role. The evaluation in 2 days. Cooperate, answer questions. Let Brennan think you're struggling. And then? Then we start applying pressure. I hung up. Sat in the quiet house. The papers Vanessa left behind were still scattered on the table. I picked up the purchase agreement. BioGlobal Medical. $8.2 million. She really thought she'd gotten away with it. That night I drove to Oakland, to a warehouse district near the port. Shaw had given me an address, told me to arrive after dark. The building was unmarked. Industrial. The kind of place that stopped existing on official maps decades ago. I knocked. A man opened the door. Mid-50s. Military bearing. Shaw's security consultant. Mr. Kirk, come in. Inside was a workspace. Computer terminals, surveillance equipment, maps covering walls. Shaw sat at a central desk reviewing files. Welcome to operations, he said. We've been busy. He pulled up images on a large screen. Financial transactions, shell company registrations, bank transfers, a web of connections linking Vanessa to dozens of fraudulent activities. She's been stealing for longer than Marianne knew, Shaw explained. Almost 3 years. Total theft approaches $1.1 million. She covered it by manipulating vendor invoices, creating fake service contracts, routing payments through companies that exist only on paper. How did no one notice? She was careful, small amounts, irregular patterns, and she controlled the reporting structure. She showed Marianne what she wanted her to see. Another screen lit up. Photos of Trevor entering a casino, timestamps spanning months. He's worse than we thought. 7 figures is conservative. Could be closer to 2 million. His creditors are connected to organized networks that operate in Nevada and California. They've been patient because he kept promising payment, but patience has limits. How long does he have? Days, maybe a week. Then they start hurting him. I studied the images. Can we accelerate that? Shaw smiled. Already done. I made calls through intermediaries. Suggested Trevor might be planning to run without settling debts. That created urgency. They're watching him now, closely. Good. He pulled up another file. This is Voss, the mechanic. We located him in Sacramento, staying at a motel under an alias. My people are maintaining surveillance. Does he know we found him? Not yet. We're letting him feel safe. When the moment's right, we'll approach. Offer him incentive to testify against Trevor. What kind of incentive? Money, protection, new identity if necessary, whatever it takes. I walked along the walls, looking at the evidence Shaw had compiled. Years of investigation condensed into visual proof. What's the timeline? Vanessa will submit final sale documents to BioGlobal within a week. And once she does that, she's committed. Then we expose the fraud. The company walks away, the authorities get involved, everything collapses. And Marianne? Stays hidden until the explosion. Then she reappears, very much alive, very ready to press charges. It was elegant, thorough, the kind of strategic operation Marianne would appreciate. What do you need from me? Keep playing the broken widower. Go to the evaluation. Let Brennan document your supposed decline. Sign whatever Vanessa puts in front of you. Make her think she's won. That's it? For now, but stay ready. Things will move fast once we pull the trigger. I left the warehouse after midnight. Drove home through empty streets. The city felt different now. Sharper, more dangerous. Like I'd stepped into a version of my life where the normal rules had evaporated. At a red light, a car pulled up beside me. Trevor in his Lexus. He didn't see me. Too focused on his phone. His face illuminated by the screen. He looked terrified. The light changed. He accelerated hard. Disappeared into the darkness. Good, I thought. Be scared. The evaluation with Dr. Brennan happened on schedule. His office was in a medical building downtown. Expensive furniture. Soothing colors. The kind of place designed to make you feel like everything's under control. Brennan was maybe 50. Graying beard. Soft voice. He shook my hand gently, like I might break. Kommt, Mr. Kirk. Thank you for coming. I know this is difficult. We sat in leather chairs facing each other. He had a legal pad and a pen. No recording devices visible, but I assumed everything was documented. Your daughter is concerned about you, he began. She mentioned some behavioral changes since your wife's passing. Memory issues, confusion, difficulty managing routine tasks. I'm grieving. That's not the same as incompetent. Of course not. But grief can affect cognitive function temporarily. I'm just here to make sure you're getting the support you need. He asked questions. When did Marianne pass? How was I sleeping? Was I eating regularly? Could I remember appointments? Did I feel overwhelmed by financial paperwork? I answered honestly. Mostly. I mentioned trouble sleeping, difficulty concentrating, a sense of being disconnected from routine activities. All true. All symptoms any grieving spouse would experience. But I played it carefully. Not too impaired, not functional enough to alarm him. Right in the middle, where Vanessa needed me. Have you noticed any confusion about dates or times? Sometimes, days blur together. Trouble managing bills or banking? I haven't really tried. Vanessa offered to handle that stuff. That's helpful. She seems very concerned about your well-being. She's a good daughter. The session lasted 90 minutes. At the end, Brennan made notes. Told me he'd compile a report. Suggested follow-up appointments to monitor my progress. Is there anything else you'd like to discuss? He asked. I paused. Let the silence hang. Sometimes I feel like I'm forgetting her. Like if I don't concentrate, I'll lose what she looked like. Her voice, the way she moved through a room. He softened. That's normal, Mr. Kirk. Grief plays tricks on memory. It'll get better. I left feeling dirty. Not because I'd lied. Because I'd told the truth about missing Marianne while knowing she was alive and hidden miles away. Vanessa called that evening. How did it go with Dr. Brennan? Fine. He said you were cooperative. That's good. What happens now? He'll finish his evaluation, submit the report to the court. Then we move forward with the temporary management arrangement, probably another week. And the business sale? Still on track. BioGlobal is completing their due diligence. Lawyers are reviewing contracts. Should close within 30 days. 30 days. That's how long I had to let her think she'd won. Okay. You sound tired, Dad. I am. Get some rest. Everything's going to be fine. She hung up. I sat in the dark house and felt the trap closing around her, piece by piece, decision by decision. She was committing to choices that would bury her. The burner phone buzzed. Text from Shaw. Voss is ready to talk. Come to the warehouse. I drove through the night again. Same industrial district. Same unmarked building. Inside, they had Voss in a back room. He sat at a table, hands shaking, eyes darting. Shaw's security consultant stood nearby, silent and intimidating. Shaw gestured for me to sit across from Voss. Danny, Shaw said, this is Russell Kirk, the man whose wife you tried to eliminate. Voss looked at me, Looked away. I didn't know what I was doing. Swear. Trevor said it was just disabling a brake system for insurance fraud. Said nobody would get hurt. My wife went off a cliff? I know. I saw the news. I've been freaking out since. That wasn't supposed to happen. Shaw put a folder in front of him. Here's what we have. Bank transfer from Trevor to you. $15,000. Security footage of you working on the vehicle. Mechanical analysis showing exactly how you sabotaged the brake lines. Testimony from 3 people who saw you at the house that day. Oh, you're going to testify, I said. You're going to explain exactly what Trevor hired you to do, who gave the orders, how much you were paid, everything. I can't. Trevor's connected. His people will end me. Trevor's people can't save him now. He's drowning, and you're going down with him unless you cooperate. Shaw added, We can offer protection, new identity, relocation. You'll disappear completely, or you can stay here and wait for Trevor's creditors to find you. Your choice. Voss looked between us, calculating, scared. If I testify, what happens to me legally? You'll face charges, Shaw said. But with cooperation, probably probation and community service. Without cooperation, you're looking at conspiracy to commit vehicular manslaughter. That's 20 years minimum. And if Trevor's people find me first? You won't have to worry about prison. Voss put his head in his hands. I just needed money, man. I didn't want anyone to get hurt. Tell that to the judge, I said, after you tell them about Trevor. He nodded, broken, defeated. Okay, I'll talk. What do you need? Shaw pulled out recording equipment. Start from the beginning. Over the next 2 hours, Voss laid it out. Trevor approached him through a mutual contact in the gambling world, offered $15,000 for a mechanical job. No details initially. Just disable a brake system on a Mercedes. Make it look like natural failure. Voss asked why. Trevor said insurance fraud. His wife's car. Needed to total it for payout. Simple job. Voss agreed. Trevor provided the address. Told him when the house would be empty. Voss showed up. Spent 90 minutes under the vehicle. Used a precision blade to score the hydraulic lines at stress points. Not completely severed. Just weakened enough that sustained pressure would cause rupture. I figured she'd notice the soft pedal right away, Voss said. Figured she'd take it to a shop. They'd find the problem. Insurance would cover it. Nobody gets hurt. But she didn't notice soon enough? I guess not. Shaw shut off the recorder. We have everything we need. Voss looked at me. For what it's worth, I'm sorry. I stood, walked to the door, stopped. You're sorry you got caught. That's different. I left him there, went back to the main workspace. Shaw followed. That was good, he said. His testimony links Trevor directly to the sabotage. Combined with the financial fraud evidence, we have enough to dismantle everything Vanessa built. When do we move? Soon. Let her submit the final documents to BioGlobal. Let her think the sale is guaranteed, then we detonate. What about Marianne? She wants to be there when it happens, when Vanessa finds out she's alive. I thought about that moment. My daughter's face when her supposedly deceased mother walks into the room. It'll break her, I said. She tried to break you first. True, but it still felt strange. Planning to destroy your own child, even when that child tried to eliminate her mother, even when she was stealing and lying and manipulating. Shaw saw my hesitation. Having doubts? No, just recognizing what I've become. What's that? Someone who prioritizes justice over family. Those things aren't mutually exclusive. She stopped being family when she hired Voss. You're just acknowledging that reality. Maybe. Or maybe I was lying to myself to justify what came next. Either way, we were committed now. 5 days later, Vanessa called with the news. BioGlobal approved the acquisition. We're moving to final paperwork. This is happening, Dad. That's wonderful. The closing is scheduled for next Friday. Their legal team wants to meet beforehand. Review documentation, standard procedure. Do you need me there? No, I'll handle it. You just need to be available for final signatures. Okay. Oh, and Dr. Brennan submitted his evaluation. The court-approved temporary management authority. Starting Monday, I'll have legal access to handle your financial affairs, just until you're back on your feet. There it was. Complete control. She could access accounts, authorize transactions, liquidate assets. Everything. I appreciate you helping, I said. Of course, that's what family does. She disconnected. I immediately called Shaw. She has the conservatorship. Good. That's the final piece. Now she's legally responsible for everything she does with your assets, which means when we prove fraud, she can't claim ignorance or distance herself from the decisions. When do we move? The closing meeting with BioGlobal is Friday at 2 p.m. Their legal team will review all documentation. Vanessa will present financial statements, operational histories, ownership records, all falsified. And I'll be there, as a representative of the clinic's insurance provider. Routine attendance, nobody will question it. What happens? During the review, I'll present evidence of the financial fraud, the theft, the falsified documents, the shell companies, everything. BioGlobal's lawyers will immediately halt the transaction and contact authorities. She'll run. She'll try, but we'll have people waiting. She won't get far. What about Trevor? His creditors are already moving. He has maybe 48 hours before they do something drastic. The plan is to let that pressure build until he breaks. Then we offer him the same deal we gave Voss. Testify and survive, or stay silent and suffer. I thought about the timeline, everything converging at once. Vanessa trapped in a boardroom watching her empire collapse. Trevor cornered by dangerous people. Voss ready to testify. Marianne waiting to reappear. It's tight, I said. A lot of moving parts. That's why it'll work. They won't have time to coordinate defense. By the time they understand what's happening, it'll be over. And Marianne's reveal. After the authorities are involved, after Vanessa is in custody, we'll bring Marianne to the police station. Let her make a formal statement, press charges. The look on Vanessa's face when she realizes her mother's alive will be worth everything. I imagined that moment. The shock, the recognition, the absolute devastation of understanding she'd failed completely. I want to be there when it happens. Absolutely, you've earned that. The next few days were strange. I played my role, acted confused, let Vanessa take over banking, signed forms without reading them, made myself appear exactly as incompetent as her evaluation claimed. She visited daily, brought groceries, made sure I was eating, asked about medications, played the concerned daughter perfectly. You look better, Dad, she said Wednesday evening. More rested. I'm trying. That's all anyone can do. Mom would want you to take care of yourself. The ease with which she invoked Marianne's memory, like she hadn't tried to end her life, like the funeral hadn't been a performance. Thursday night, Trevor showed up at my door, without Vanessa. He looked terrible, unshaven, clothes rumpled, eyes haunted. Russell, can I come in? I let him inside. We stood in the entry hall. He was shaking. Are you okay? I asked. No, I'm not. I need to tell you something. What? He started crying. Actual tears. I'm in trouble. Bad trouble. People I owe money to. They're threatening me. Vanessa said the business sale would solve everything, but now it's taking too long and these people won't wait, and I don't know what to do. I kept my face neutral. How much trouble? 2 million, maybe more. I gambled. Kept thinking I could win it back, but it just kept getting worse. Does Vanessa know how bad it is? She knows some of it, not all. She'd leave me if she knew everything. Maybe she should. He looked at me, desperate. Please, can you lend me money, just enough to buy time? I'll pay you back when the sale closes. I don't have access to that kind of money right now. But you're wealthy. You and Marianne had savings, investments, which Vanessa controls. I signed everything over, remember, on your wife's advice. Reality hit him. The trap they'd built for me had become his prison too. I'm sorry, he whispered. I'm so sorry for everything. He left. I watched him stumble to his car. Drive away into the night. A broken man circling the drain. I felt nothing. No pity, no satisfaction. Just cold recognition that he'd made choices, and now those choices were consuming him. Friday morning arrived. The day of the closing meeting. Shaw called at 7 a.m. Everything's in place. BioGlobal's team will be there. Vanessa has no idea what's coming. When will you present the evidence? About 30 minutes into the meeting, after she's committed to her presentation, after she's answered questions and presented falsified documents as truth. That's when I'll ask to address concerns from the insurance provider. She'll panic. She'll have nowhere to go. The building will have security at every exit. Police will be on standby. When the evidence is presented, they'll move in immediately. And Marianne? Waiting at the station, ready to make her statement. I'll be there. No. You stay away from the building. Let this play out without visible involvement. After Vanessa is in custody, we'll call you. I wanted to argue, wanted to see her face when the walls closed in. But Shaw was right. My presence would complicate things. Fine. Keep me updated. I spent the morning pacing, unable to focus. The house felt like a cage. Finally, I got in my car and drove. No destination, just movement. At 1:30, my regular phone rang. Vanessa. Hey, Dad. Just checking in. Everything okay? Fine. Where are you? Heading to the closing meeting. Wish me luck? Good luck? Thanks. I'll call you after. We can celebrate. She hung up. I pulled over. Sat in a parking lot watching normal people do normal things, going to work, running errands, living lives without revenge and betrayal and calculated destruction. At 2:15, Shaw texted from the burner phone. Meeting started. Vanessa presenting now. I waited. Minutes stretched. Traffic flowed around me. 2:45. Evidence presented. She's falling apart. 2:53. Police here. Vanessa in custody. Trevor being picked up now. 3:11. Come to the station. Bring your regular phone. Time for the reveal. The police station was downtown. Old building. Too much fluorescent lighting. Shaw met me in the lobby. How is she? I asked. Devastated. Angry. Denying everything. But the evidence is overwhelming. BioGlobal's lawyers documented everything before calling authorities. She's facing multiple felony counts, fraud, embezzlement, conspiracy. Where's Marianne? Interview room 3, ready when you are. We walked through corridors. Cops and civilians. The machinery of law enforcement processing the day's casualties. They had Vanessa in a holding area. Through glass, I could see her sitting at a metal table, handcuffed. Her expensive clothes looked wrong in this environment, like costume from another life. A detective approached. Mr. Kirk, I'm Detective Ramos. I need to take your statement about the financial arrangements your daughter made. Of course. But first, there's someone who wants to see you. He led me to another room, opened the door. Marianne stood inside. She'd changed clothes, professional attire, hair styled, the version of herself she showed the world when business mattered. Hello, Russell. I crossed the room, held her. She felt solid and real and alive. Are you ready for this? She asked. Yes. It's going to be hard, seeing her reaction. I know. She's still our daughter. She stopped being our daughter when she hired Voss. Marianne pulled back, looked at me. That's what I keep telling myself. But I don't know if I believe it. You don't have to. I believe it enough for both of us. Detective Ramos returned. Mrs. Kirk, we're ready when you are. She took my hand. We followed him through more corridors. Other cops stared. Word had spread. The woman everyone thought was deceased walking through the station. They brought us to an observation room. One-way glass looking into interrogation. Vanessa sat inside with a public defender. She looked smaller somehow. Diminished. Ramos spoke into an intercom. Ms. Grimes, there's someone here to see you. Vanessa looked up. Who? The door opened. Marianne walked in. I watched my daughter's face. The sequence of emotions. Confusion, recognition, disbelief, horror, understanding, and finally, something that might have been relief or might have been complete collapse. Mom? Marianne sat across from her. Hello, Vanessa. You're alive. How are you alive? Because I discovered what you were planning. Because I had help. Because I refused to let you bury me. Vanessa's face crumpled. Real tears now. Not the performance kind. I didn't want to, I swear. I was just so desperate. Trevor's debts, the pressure. I thought if I could just get control of the business, everything would be okay. So you tried to end my life? No, just make it look like an accident. Force you to sell. I never wanted you actually gone. You hired a mechanic to sabotage my brakes. That was Trevor's idea. I just wanted the business. He said we needed to be sure. I didn't know he'd go that far. Lies. Still lying. Even confronted with her living mother. Marianne's voice stayed cold. You stood at my funeral. Accepted condolences. Started selling my company before my body was supposedly cold. You moved against your father. Tried to have him declared incompetent. I was trying to protect him. From what? From himself. From making bad decisions while grieving. Or from interfering with your theft. Vanessa looked at me through the glass. I don't know if she could see me, but her eyes found mine anyway. Dad, are you there? I stepped closer to the glass. Let her see me, if she could. I'm here. Please, you have to understand. I never meant for this to happen. It just spiraled. I made mistakes. But I'm still your daughter. I'm still family. Marianne stood. No, you're not. Family doesn't hire someone to sabotage brake lines. Family doesn't steal. Family doesn't lie at funerals. Mom, please. You're going to prison, Vanessa. For a long time. And when you get out, if you get out, we won't be here. You'll be alone with the choices you made. She walked to the door, paused, looked back. I loved you more than anything in this world. I built my business thinking someday you'd take over, that my legacy would be yours, and you tried to take it by destroying me. That's the part I'll never understand. She left. The door closed. Vanessa collapsed across the table, sobbing. The public defender tried to comfort her, failed. I watched for a moment longer, then followed Marianne into the hallway. She was leaning against the wall, shaking. That was harder than I thought, she said. You did well. I kept hoping she'd really apologize, really explain. Give me something to hold on to. She only apologized for getting caught. I know. Shaw appeared. Trevor's in custody. He's already asking for a deal. Wants to testify against Vanessa in exchange for reduced charges. Let him, I said. The more they turn on each other, the better. Voss is giving his statement now. Between the three of them, we have enough evidence to ensure long sentences for everyone involved. Marianne pushed off the wall. What happens now? Now you give your formal statement, press charges, make this official. And then? Then you go home, both of you. Try to figure out what life looks like after this. We spent 3 hours with detectives, recounting everything. The discovery of the theft, the brake sabotage, the staged demise, the evidence compiled, every detail documented and recorded. By the time we left, it was dark. Shaw drove us back to his property. Marianne had been staying there, her things still in the guest house. What are you going to do? I asked her. Reclaim my business, rebuild what Vanessa tried to sell. It'll take time. The fraud investigation will complicate things. But the company is solid underneath the damage. And us? She looked at me. What do you mean? Do we just go back to how things were? Pretend none of this happened? I don't know if we can. Neither do I. We sat in silence. Shaw made coffee. The three of us in his study, processing. There's something else, Shaw said. Trevor's creditors. The people he owes, they're not going to just forget about the debt because he's in custody. That's his problem, I said. Maybe. But if they can't collect from Trevor, they'll look for alternative sources. His wife, his family, you. I have nothing to do with his debts. They won't care. In their world, family is responsible, and you're wealthy. They might decide you're close enough. Marianne tensed. Are we in danger? Potentially. I've increased security here, and I have contacts in law enforcement who can provide protection if needed. But you should be aware. One more thing, one more complication. Because apparently destroying my daughter and ruining her husband wasn't enough. What do you suggest? Stay here for a few more days. Let me handle the creditor situation. I have leverage with some of these organizations. I can negotiate. Meaning what? Meaning I can make it clear that pursuing you would be unprofitable and dangerous. They're businessmen. They understand risk-reward calculations. You'd do that? I've invested considerable resources in keeping Marianne safe. I'm not letting gambling debts undo that work. We agreed to stay. Shaw had plenty of room. And honestly, going home felt wrong. The house was still full of grief and lies. Neither of us was ready for that yet. 3 days passed. Shaw handled Trevor's creditors. I didn't ask how. Some conversations are better left unexamined. Marianne and I existed in strange limbo, legally alive again, practically uncertain what that meant. We'd talk sometimes, long conversations about what Vanessa had become, how we'd missed the signs, whether we could have prevented any of this. Other times we'd sit in silence, processing, grieving the daughter we thought we had. On the 4th day, Detective Ramos called. Mr. Kirk, we need you to come down to the station. Something's developed. What? Better if we discuss in person. Shaw drove us downtown. Ramos met us in his office. He looked tired. Trevor's talking. A lot. He's giving us everything. Detailed timeline of the theft, names of people involved, financial records. He's desperate to reduce his sentence. Good, I said. There's more. He claims the brake sabotage wasn't his idea. He's lying. Maybe, but his version differs from Voss's. According to Trevor, Vanessa approached him with the plan. She knew about his debts. She told him that if they could make your wife's disappearance look final, they'd get the inheritance right away and fix everything. Marianne went pale. Vanessa initiated it? That's what Trevor says. He claims he tried to talk her out of it, that he only agreed when she threatened to leave him and expose his gambling to his creditors. He's trying to save himself. Probably. But the timeline supports some of his claims. Phone records show Vanessa contacting Voss's associates weeks before Trevor made the payment. She was researching mechanical sabotage methods months before the actual attempt. I felt something shift, a fundamental assumption cracking. I'd thought Trevor was the driving force, the desperate gambler pulling his wife into crime. But maybe I'd been wrong. "Where's Vanessa now?" Marianne asked. "Still in custody. Her lawyer advised her not to talk, but she's been asking to see you, both of you." "Why?" "She won't say. Just keeps asking." Marianne looked at me. "Should we?" "No." "Russell?" "She tried to end your life. She doesn't get closure." "Maybe I need it." "You saw her 3 days ago. She gave you nothing but lies and manipulation." "I know, but what? You think this time will be different? She'll magically tell the truth, apologize sincerely, give you the daughter you remember?" Marianne's eyes filled. "I just want to understand." "There's nothing to understand. She's broken, entitled, willing to hurt anyone to get what she wants. That's all." Ramos cleared his throat. "I'll give you time to decide. But for what it's worth, I've seen a lot of criminals. Most lie right up until sentencing. A few tell the truth. I'm not sure which category your daughter falls into." We left, sat in Shaw's car in the parking garage. Neither of us spoke for minutes. Finally, Marianne said, "I'm going to see her." "That's a mistake." "Probably, but I have to try." "Fine, I'll wait here." "Come with me." "No." "Russell, please, I need you there." "Why? So she can manipulate both of us? So she can play the victim while we stand there feeling guilty? Because she's our daughter, and maybe I need to say goodbye." That stopped me, the finality in her voice. "You're cutting her off?" "I don't know, but if I am, I want her to know. I want to look her in the eyes and tell her she destroyed us, that there's no coming back from this." I understood that. The need for closure. The desire to make someone understand the damage they'd caused. "Okay," I said. "I'll come." We went back inside. Ramos arranged the meeting, supervised visit, recording devices, guards outside the door. They brought Vanessa to an interview room. She wore orange jumpsuit now. No makeup. Hair pulled back. She looked younger somehow. More like the child I remembered. She stood when we entered. "Mom, Dad, thank you for coming." We sat across from her. Ramos stayed by the door. "What do you want?" Marianne asked. "To tell you the truth?" "You've had days to tell the truth." "I know. I was scared. My lawyer said not to talk. But I can't sleep. Can't eat. All I see is your face at the funeral. The way you looked at me through the glass. I need you to know what really happened." "Trevor says it was your idea." "It was." Marianne flinched. "The gambling debts were real," Vanessa continued. "But I was already stealing before that, for almost 3 years. Small amounts at first. Then bigger as I figured out how to hide it. I told myself I was borrowing, that I'd pay it back." "Why?" "Because I was jealous. Your company was successful, growing. Everyone talked about Marianne Kirk, the brilliant businesswoman. Marianne Kirk, who built an empire. Nobody looked at me. I was just the daughter working in vendor relations. So you stole. I wanted what you had, the recognition, the respect. I thought if I could start my own venture, people would see me differently. But I failed. Everything I tried failed. And suddenly I'd taken over 1 million and had nothing to show for it." She was crying now, real tears. Different from 3 days ago. "Trevor's debts gave me an opportunity. I could frame everything around his problems. Make him the villain. Make it seem like I was trying to help him. But the truth is, I needed you gone. Both of you. I needed the business free and clear so I could sell it and disappear before anyone audited the books. So you hired Voss. I researched it first. Spent months learning about brake systems, how to disable them, how to make it look accidental. I contacted Voss through Trevor's gambling network. Set everything up, then convinced Trevor it was necessary to save him." "You blamed him?" "Yes. Because that was easier than admitting I wanted my mother deceased." The word hung there. Deceased, clinical, final. "Did you love me at all?" Marianne asked. "Of course. That's what makes this so terrible. I loved you, I admired you, and I still tried to remove you. I don't know how those things coexist, but they do." I spoke for the first time. "You know you're going to prison?" "Yes." "For years?" "Yes." "Good." She looked at me. "Do you hate me?" I don't know what I feel, but I know you don't deserve forgiveness. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I'm asking you to understand that I'm sick, that something in me broke a long time ago, that I need help. Prison won't help you. Maybe not, but it's what I deserve. Marianne stood. I came here hoping you'd give me something, some explanation that would make sense. But this is worse. You knew what you were doing. You planned it carefully. You succeeded until I discovered it, and you still don't really understand why it was wrong. I do. No. You understand that it failed. That's different. If the breaks had actually taken my life, if nobody had investigated, you'd be running BioGlobal's money right now without remorse. That's not true. It is. And that's why we're done. You're not my daughter anymore. You're just someone who tried to take from me. She walked out. I followed. Left Vanessa sitting there with her tears and her confession and her empty justifications. In the hallway, Marianne collapsed against the wall. I held her while she sobbed. Real grief now. For the daughter who had passed away years ago. For the person Vanessa could have been. For the family we'd lost. I'm sorry, she whispered. For what? For bringing her into the world. For raising her wrong. For not seeing what she was becoming. That's not on you, isn't it? She's our child. We shaped her. We shaped a person. She chose what to do with that. I keep thinking about moments when I was too strict, or too permissive, when I chose work over family, when I pushed too hard, if I'd done things differently. She'd still be broken, just differently broken. Maybe that was true, maybe not. But Marianne needed to hear it. Shaw found us 20 minutes later. Everything okay? No, Marianne said, but we're done here. We left the station, drove back to the hills. Shaw's estate felt like neutral ground. Not home, not danger, just temporary shelter while we figured out what came next. That night, lying in separate guest rooms, I thought about Vanessa's confession, the premeditation, the jealousy, the cold calculation behind every choice. She'd said she loved Marianne. I believed her, but love twisted by resentment becomes something else entirely, something capable of terrible things. I didn't feel victorious. I felt empty. We'd destroyed our daughter's life. Legally, justifiably, necessarily, but it still felt like losing. A week passed, then another. The legal machinery ground forward. Trevor accepted a plea deal. 8 years for conspiracy and financial fraud. Voss got probation and supervised release. Vanessa refused all deals, insisted on trial. Her lawyer said she had no chance. The evidence was overwhelming, but she wanted her day in court. Marianne reclaimed the business. BioGlobal walked away, but other buyers emerged. She rebuilt the financial structures, fired people who'd helped Vanessa, hired auditors to examine everything. I moved back home, started sleeping in the guest room because the master bedroom still carried too many memories. One evening, Shaw called me to his study. There's something you should know, he said. About Vanessa's trial. She's planning to present a defense that might damage both you and Marianne. How? Her lawyer is arguing diminished capacity, that she was mentally unwell, that the pressure of living up to Marianne's success combined with childhood emotional neglect created psychological breaks. So she's attacking us? Publicly. Her lawyer will call witnesses who'll testify about Marianne's demanding nature, your emotional distance, the pressure placed on Vanessa to achieve. I called Marianne, told her. Let her try, she said. Let her tell the world I was a demanding mother, that Russell was emotionally distant. It won't change what she did. The trial started in October. The courthouse was old stone and institutional lighting. Media vans camped outside. Marianne and I sat in the gallery, watched prosecutors present evidence, financial records, Voss's testimony, Trevor's reluctant confession, the mechanical analysis of the sabotaged brakes. Vanessa sat quietly at the defense table, wore conservative clothing. Her lawyer portrayed her as desperate woman driven to extremes by impossible circumstances. Witnesses testified about Marianne's demanding management style, her high expectations. Former employees described tension between mother and daughter. The defense called a psychiatrist. He described Vanessa's mental state, borderline personality disorder, narcissistic tendencies, childhood emotional neglect creating attachment issues. On the fourth day, they called me to testify. Vanessa's lawyer was young, aggressive. She paced in front of the witness stand. Mr. Kirk, would you describe yourself as an attentive father? I was present. I provided for my family. Did you attend school events, recitals, sports games? When I could. Your daughter remembers you missing her 8th grade graduation because of a work conference, missing her high school volleyball games, missing her college orientation. My work was important. More important than your daughter? The prosecutor objected. Judge sustained, but the damage was done. I stepped down, returned to my seat next to Marianne. The trial continued for 2 more weeks. Both sides presented their cases, character witnesses, expert testimony, endless documentation, finally closing arguments. The prosecutor laid out clear narrative, calculated theft, premeditated sabotage, sophisticated cover-up, defense countered with psychological portrait, damaged woman acting from desperation, deserved treatment, not punishment. Jury deliberated for 3 days. We waited at Shaw's property, away from media. On the 3rd day, we got the call. Verdict was in. The courtroom was packed. Marianne and I sat in our usual spots. Shaw beside us. Vanessa was brought in. She'd lost weight, looked fragile. The judge entered. Everyone stood, sat. Has the jury reached a verdict? The foreman stood. We have, Your Honor. On the count of embezzlement in the 1st degree, how do you find? Guilty. On the count of conspiracy to commit vehicular manslaughter, how do you find? Guilty. On the count of fraud, how do you find? Guilty. Each word landed like a hammer. Vanessa's face collapsed. The judge continued through all counts. Guilty. 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 Sentencing was scheduled for 2 weeks later. Vanessa was remanded to custody. She looked back as they led her away. Found me in the gallery. Our eyes met. Then she was gone. Outside, media swarmed. Shaw guided us to a waiting car. 2 weeks later, sentencing day arrived. Same courtroom, same judge. The judge reviewed the case, asked if Vanessa had anything to say. Vanessa stood, read from prepared statement, apologized, said she accepted responsibility. The judge sentenced her to 18 years, eligible for parole after 12. Vanessa nodded, was led away. We left the courthouse. Shaw drove us back to the hills. That evening we sat on the terrace, the sun setting, the city spreading below like fallen stars. Shaw poured wine. To justice. We drank. Marianne looked at me. They tried to bury us. We buried them instead, I said. Below us, the city continued its endless rhythm. Vanessa was in prison. Trevor was in prison. The people who tried to destroy us were scattered and broken. We'd emerged victorious.